formulated from the summit that could be beneficial to Africa. But you're looking at the original scene, and that's why people seem to be agitated, that French as a country is known to have built its own economy on the backs and sweat and blood of Africa. That goes undisputed. But then you realize that what we're getting are breadcrumbs. And people are saying, yes, I think instead of coming to rescue the country called Kenya, let's build our African Union, so we can free ourselves progressively as a continent. We can do better. We don't need 100 billion. We have that in Kenya. If only we managed our economy better. If only we collaborated better with other regions, either from the global north or the far east, we can still trade and do better. But the art of cooperation is where it's being said that at the end of every summit, because this is not the first one. We've had the Russia Kenyan, Indian Kenyan, now we had the French Kenyan, and many others are going to come. The point is that if we do not take home what is progressively beneficial not just to the country but also to the continent, we end up shortchanging now the youth, because the future and the present is the youth. We can talk about sponsoring one institution, but that does not change the fiber of the youthful non-economic enterprise that we are facing in the country.
It actually does.
Not significantly, because it has to be at the policy value level where we know when the current president is not in office, the next regime will still have progressive marks that will be able to say we are able to industrialize, we are able to manufacture. We still export raw materials to France. We should have done value addition, at least 1 more, 2, 3 levels before it goes out there. The same way we do not import essence, we import perfume, right? So you pay premium, and that is beneficial to them. That's the disquiet Kenyans are having. What's your take on that?
Nobody owes us development.
Correct.
I don't subscribe to that ideology. But also, too, what's this Kenyan exceptionalism that why do we think of ourselves as better than the rest of the continent? Who says we're here to set an example? I mean, I'm proud of my country, but we're no better. We're no better than Nigeria, we're no better than South Africa, we're no better than any other nation. So I think we have, first of all, to disabuse ourselves of the idea that we are to set an example. All we're supposed to do is ensure that we develop ourselves as much as we can and improve the human conditions of our people and the people of our motherland, which is Africa, without thinking of ourselves as special, because then we run into very interesting challenges where now I'm lost for words, because then I ask myself, first of all, I say Kenya comes first. So I ask myself, how do these partnerships impact Kenya first? And then hopefully the other countries are going to think of that as well for their countries, and it's going to be better. And it's very interesting that my colleague Angel mentions countries like Ghana, mentions countries like Benin. Those countries were here. They were represented here. So on the one hand, you cannot pretend that you're fighting for them, and some of your facts are awfully wrong. While you wax lyrical, I think it would be better if we kept it factual. Ghana, first of all, was not under French colonialism. However, if you think about it, it's insulting to the people of Ghana to say that you're apologizing to them. They sent their vote, their collective vote was here. The people of Ghana were here. The people of Benin were here. The people of Liberia, the first country that gained independence, were here. The people of Senegal, President Faye was here. So I do not understand what these things of which we speak, that those are the democracies, those are the majorities of their democracies, and I think those ought to be respected. In terms of development, in terms of us advancing an agenda, it cannot be outsourced. We cannot look to France, we cannot look to London, we cannot look to Tokyo, we cannot look to New York or Washington for any of these things. Development of our people must be done by our people. And imperialism, there's all sorts of, very many forms perpetrated by Kenyans. I can say this, that the French have not had a detrimental effect in Kenya as President Kenyatta did. I dare say that. The black man in Kenya has oppressed us more than the Frenchman. It might not be true for other countries, but for the Kenyan context, we cannot look at France as an imperial power and think that France has had greater detrimental effects than Jomo Kenyatta, for example, had. You would think that because he was part of the movement, for example, that gave us the liberation, that he would declassify Mau Mau as an organization.
So just to clarify, you're saying that because France did not have a colonial effect in Kenya, that